Okay, the first car we're going to look at is a 2018 petrol car. It's a small, cheap car, probably something similar to what you guys might own as your first car in college. First thing, let's identify some of the parts. So we have your main engine block over here. We got your oil intake on the engine block. We have your dipstick. This is to check the oil level. Then we have an air filter here. In this case, it's located above the engine block. At the top here, and it's usually the same in most manual cars, manual transmission cars, here's your brake fluid, as well as your clutch fluid. And then on the side over here, we have obviously your battery terminal that brings power to your car. And then this is your radiators. This is your water to keep your antifreeze to keep your engine cool. And in this case, there's an overflow tank. So in order to check your level, you would just check to see if there's water in the overflow tank. In this case, I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's about halfway full. And again, this is an overflow tank, so that's fine. But I could fill it up. To check the level of the oil, I think a lot of you have probably done this, but you want to take your dipstick out. And what you would do is, first thing, you'd wipe it. I don't actually have anything to wipe it with right now, but I don't know if you guys can see it. There's two lines, one towards the bottom of the dipstick and one towards the top. And what you're looking for is that you want the oil level to be sort of towards the top, not really anything below half, that you're running a risk of running your engine dry. So just you keep it towards the half and above. In this case, it actually looks like it's overfilled, which might be because the car's sitting on a slant. But I'll wipe it and we'll check the actual oil level soon. So I'll put the dipstick back. Then for your brake fluid, it's usually the same in most cars. You can actually, it's usually a see-through tank, and if you look at the side of the brake fluid, it's hard to see over here, but on the side of the brake fluid container, you'll see a max level up here and a min level down here. And what you're looking for is you want obviously your brake fluid not to reach the min level. And then to fill it up, it's just a matter of opening it up, and in this case, I think it's lifting it up and filling it up that way. Okay, so that's this car. I'm thinking what else there is. There's obviously a wiper fluid over here, but this is basic stuff that you can check to make sure you got your main fluids in the car and everything's good, and then you're good to go. Here, very similar. Here we're looking at a diesel engine. It's again, I think this is a 2008 car. But very similar. We're just going to go through this really fast. But again, you got your main engine block, similar to what we saw previously. You got your oil intake, again, like I mentioned, on the top of the engine block. Pretty to the side here, we got your dipstick to check your engine your oil level. And again, I'll pull this up. And this is easier to see. But again, I don't know if you guys can see. You see the full level at the top on the right, and then the minimum level down there, and it's just towards the full. So we're not quite full yet, but we're looking good. So this is a good oil level. Let's put that back. Then here, kind of again, we have your radiator, and in this case, we don't have an overflow tank, so everything's a closed system. But similarly, we can put water can go in here, but what you really want to do is this is your so this is where you put your coolant in, or your water. And you can see that in this case, it's actually kind of hard to see, but it is a see-through tank, so on the side you should be able to see the water level, but otherwise we can look in here and check that there's water in there. Hopefully there is. Yes, there is water, and there is a gauge on the side that says it should be about halfway full through this tank over here. The important thing to remember about a system like this is that you can't check the water level when it's hot, because otherwise it'll just spray out onto your face. And that's because it's a closed system, so there's no overflow tank and there's no way for air and water to escape. And then, like the previous car, this is your brake and your clutch fluid. Sorry, actually other way around. This is your brake fluid, and this one actually is a separate compartment on the top here, and this over here is your clutch fluid. But again, they're on the same side of the car and they have similar containers, and actually the fluid you're using is exactly the same fluid, the clutch and the brake fluid. And then finally here we have transmission fluid too, and this has a compartment for transmission fluid on the side that you can check, and you'll know it's transmission fluid because the oil is black, or not black, that's not, it's black when it's used, but it should be sort of an amber color, and then obviously your brake fluid is see-through, and then your transmission fluid is always this sort of reddish color I don't know if you guys can see it over here, but it is, it's a reddish, I don't know, it's hard to see, but it's sort of a reddish hue. Okay, so that's that. And then, I mean, other components you guys can see, we didn't identify in the last one, but again, the air filters at the top there. And then here towards the bottom, you have a fan belt that drives your engine. Or no, it doesn't drive, it drives the fan. And what you can't see in here is the driving belt. But anyway, never mind. Very last car we're going to look at, if you're ever lucky enough to own a car like this is a 1948 yeah, 1948 vehicle. Well, I'll show you the photos soon. But same sort of thing. It's actually amazing how little technology has changed over all these years. Because in the front we have the radiator and we have the radiator cap here. In this case, it's I guess it's a closed system, so don't open it when it's hot because it'll spray out in your face. But you can check your level. Very simple. This one's got water in it. Great. It does have a little pressure release if you look at the bottom here. So as if it does heat up, we will see water escaping here. Same as the other cars. We got an engine block. We got the oil intake over here. So this is where you'd fill up the oil if you wanted to. And then on the side over here, next to the engine block, I don't know if you guys can see it, but here is the dipstick. Over here. Nice dipstick over here, and we can check it if we want to see what the level is like. And again, we got the two marks we talked about earlier, the two notches, and you can see that it's about halfway between the two notches, so it's fine. It's probably a bit low. I'd probably like to fill it up so it goes a bit higher, but it's okay for now. And then similar to, again, we got over there we got the air filter. In this case, it's an older car, so it's got a sort of an outside. This is the what am I even thinking about? The carburetor, very easily accessible that you can yeah, you can actually take this out and you can see how it looks like if you want to do this. We can kind of see this is what regulates how much air comes into the engine, and the fuel to air ratio. And then we have a distributor down there. I mean, you guys, if you own a car like this, you probably will enjoy playing around with it. So this is like Lego for adults. It's good fun. Okay, thank you. And now quickly, 3 shots of the cars. So this one was a 1948 Land Rover. Beautiful. The next one was a little chop over here. And then the last one is a Defender, a TDI. And finally, if you have an engine that looks like this, there's really not much you can do. Just bring it to mechanic and they will fix it for you. There are basic fluids, so you can look. It does have the transmission fluid, and this one's got an overflow tank, and it's got the oil intake on the engine block. But again, you can't even see anything because they basically don't want you to touch this engine.